This is the game of life, where everybody makes the team, but how you play is up to you.
I know I can be what I want to be. If I work hard at it, I'll be where I want to be. I know I can be what I want to be what I want to be. If I work hard at it,
Welcome to the Game of Life, Season 2, Episode number 8. I'm your host, Gail Nelson, President and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters Miami, and this is like sitting in a living room today. I'm pleased to have with me today on the Game of Life, where everybody makes a team, but how you play is up to you, alumni Big Brother Mark Kent. Brother, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. So happy to be here.
Oh, my goodness. It's a pleasure having you here. I always start the show, no matter who's sitting in the chair, who's in the hot seat for the moment, if you will, and the seat's not that hot. Just talking about leadership journey and people's personal journeys. And it's so important just to, as we talk to people, Mark, just to find out where they grew up, how they got started, and on their leadership journey. So do that for us, Mark. Tell us about your leadership journey and where you grew up.
Sure. Well, the good thing about this is we are both Midwestern boys.
That's correct. Toledo, Ohio.
Yeah, Indiana. So I grew up in a very small town outside of 2 hours outside of Chicago, 1 hour outside of Indianapolis. So we're in between the two metros, if you will. Most people do not know Lafayette, Indiana, with the exception of those who happen to know Purdue University.
Yes.
That's about it. That's the claim to fame.
There's other stuff in town other than Purdue, right?
No. There are more cows than people and lots of farmland. So, one of the things I remember most about my childhood, and most people like to reflect very fondly, is growing up, we never had to lock any doors.
How about that?
All the way through high school. I remember never needing a key.
Wow.
To come home.
Those were the days.
Yeah, and that's something. Born and raised in little old Lafayette, Indiana, and Purdue. Actually, I'm an alumni of Purdue, so I got my graduate degree, my MBA from Purdue. Go Boilermakers.
No doubt.
Cranard, and set off after that into California. Went to USC after high school, then came back to Indiana for my graduate degree. And while I was in California, which we'll get into later, my life just wonderfully changed there. Because I became a big.
How about that?
That was just an amazing
We're going to talk about that in a few minutes, brother. Don't jump ahead of me.
Right.
We just talked about how you grew up.
Yeah, right. I'm already there.
Keep me in Lafayette with the cows, brother.
You could tell I'm excited. And but my leadership journey, after graduating from college, I had an opportunity to go down two paths. One path was a path that was kind of set out for me, which was through internship and joining American Express. And another path, not so clear. And that path was to become an entrepreneur.
Okay.
Being young and foolish, I chose the path of being an entrepreneur.
Okay.
I'm thankful today, though, thankful to God and family and so many mentors and many blessings received that it worked out well. I sold two companies, started and sold two companies, and then became a part of Humana. When I became a part of Humana, there was no executive track. You basically just worked. And we were talking, just prior to starting this about doing your time in the mine and paying your dues.
Absolutely, pay your dues.
And so joined Humana, worked there for 10 long years as an executive. I started at Humana as a project manager. I left Humana as a regional president and CEO for the Florida market for its care delivery organization. And so I was responsible for $1.3 billion of revenue across 58 medical practices across the state of Florida. And really, really blessed in that, and left from there. And being an ever-present entrepreneur again, went up to Indiana. And there had a OBGYN group, very entrepreneurial there, and ownership of a hospital, which was an acute care hospital there. Did that for 3 years and returned to South Florida and started 3 companies. So here I am. So
happy to have you back in South Florida, brother. Whenever you get the itch to visit. So now, how's the weather? Let me just do a comparison.
Yeah.
So where would you rather be right now this particular day. Lafayette, Indiana. What's it like 10 below zero?
Exactly. Actually, it's 14 today. 14 below zero
My
today.
bad. 14 below zero, or in beautiful sunny South Florida, the warmest place in the United States right now.
Are you kidding me?
So you made a good choice.
Absolutely.
Welcome back to the Caliente.
There you go. Thank you.
Now, when we talk about mentorship, Mark, this is a mentoring podcast. And for those listening, 305-644-0066, call and tell us you want to make a difference. I want to be like Mark. You've heard of, I want to be like Mike. I'm going to say I want to be like Mark. How about that? I think Gatorade already has that branded a little bit, but hey, I can use it. It's not copyrighted. But mentors.
Yeah.
We've all had mentors who supported us, who guided us in life.
Yes.
Who mentored you, Mark?
Ooh, you know, it started in the home. You know, my grandmother loves to tell me how much it's just like my grandfather. And he's very classy man, very driven, very God-fearing, but also very focused and deliberative. So it starts there. You know, of course, my parents, amazing. But I would say from a influence outside of the home, there were a few people. And I really want to pause just to say there are no self-made people.
I like that.
There just aren't.
That's right.
If to become successful in life, you're going to interact, and you should listen to a lot of different points of reference, including the different people. I love the naysayers because I learn from them just as much as I learn from the people that agree with me.
No doubt. A little resistance won't hurt.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And so in Humana, at one point, the COO, and I'll never forget him, Jim Murray, the COO of all of Humana, kind of took me under his wing. He took me under his wing because I went to him, actually. I sought him out, and I told him, you're going to be my mentor. And he just died laughing, right? And I told him, but I'm going to come to you, not as just some empty vessel. I'm going to show you and tell you what I'm doing, aside from the fact of what I want. So I'm going to add value to this organization. I'm going to add value equal to 3 times my salary, either in new revenue or in cost avoidance. That's how I'm going to add value to you. How you're going to add value to me is you're going to take what I'm giving you from a value perspective, and you're going to reinvest that back in me in some way. And,
quantitatively and qualitatively. It's like, look, you gave some metrics.
I sure did.
I love it. I love it.
It worked. And so as many people said within Humana, there was a meteoric rise. But at the same time, I never played politics. It was all about performance.
Hard work.
Hard work. Kept my eyes on the prize. And therefore, I like to say that I was rewarded for doing so. So many mentors from the side of business and even personally. I didn't know much about real estate. And this, I'll never forget her, may she rest in peace. Lenny came to me one day and she said, you know, when the housing boom was going on, she goes, you got to get in. I'm like, oh, I don't know anything about that. I don't want to lose all my money.
Right.
Well, I listened. I did very well. You know, a number of people have approached me, and I took the time to stop and listen and learn.
What I appreciate about what you're saying, Mark, is when it comes to mentorship, that trusted friend and counsel by definition, you sought out Jim at Humana and told him what you wanted, what you can do, the value proposition, if you will, and it paid off. Your hard work, his mentorship paid off for you.
Absolutely.
The meteoric rise at Humana. But Lenny sought you out.
That's
so
right.
sometime and got you into the real estate game, if you will. So sometimes mentors seek us.
That's true.
But let us never be hesitant or reserved in seeking out mentors. If you know you need help, why not ask for it?
Oh, absolutely. More times than I can count, I always sought out.
That's great. That's great.
And have been blessed for that.
And there's so many kids who need mentorship. There's
Absolutely.
so many adults who need to be mentoring.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about that as well as we move forward. But when I think about seeking someone out, Hyatt Regency Hotel in my downtown Miami, I'm sitting at the Minority Chamber luncheon. The brother looks just like you, gets on the mic, introduced you, one of the speakers, and 2 words you said, big brother.
Yes.
I put down my fork. I said, okay, the minute he finishes his speech, exit stage right. From that luncheon, we shook hands, exchanged contact information. We ended up having lunch in the Gables.
That's right.
Months after that.
That's right.
You were invited to our board summit for Big Brothers, Big Sisters Miami down at Ocean Reef.
Yes.
Did an excellent job inspiring our board.
Aw.
And you also blessed us with a donation as well.
Yes.
From there, here we are sitting here on the Game of Life.
Yeah. And that's
Your
something.
name is on, lest I forget, and your name is on the wall here in the Carnival Center for Excellence. The shout out to Carnival for their gift, Mickey Harrison, Linda Cole, Arnold Donald, the entire crew.
Yeah.
But your name is on the wall.
Yes.
Mark Kent. So when you go back to those who mentored you, especially your grandfather and your parents,
Yes. Yes.
you're blessing children as a result. So
Yes.
having said that, brothers, when we think about your investment of your time, and we'll talk about your relationship in a minute, but why invest? Why did you choose to invest in Big Brothers, Big Sisters Miami?
Ooh, well, see, now we're going to go to that special moment back when I was in college.
All right.
And I can't stress enough is when you're in college and you're looking to change your life and you're looking to do some things. And I realized that I had some time.
Yes.
And I didn't know what to do with that time. And a friend of mine, a female friend, said, you ought to get involved in this organization. And I'm like, yeah, getting involved, I don't know about that,
Now, she was saying with the organization, not her.
Yes, no, yeah,
Right,
no. She was talking about the organization.
That's a different organization. eHarmony, brother. But go ahead. I'm just saying. Men and commitment, I'm just saying. Get involved. What are you talking about?
And so got involved and went down to one of the orientation rallies that she was going to, and I attended along with her, and I sat there, and I was just impressed with the organization. I could tell and see the difference in her by doing this. Now, mind you, I am from a family of church-going folk, so we believe in giving.
Amen.
And so growing up, giving and being a part of your community and helping to develop that is something that's at my core.
Yes.
So trying to figure out what I'm going to do, out there in California all on my own. My parents were all the way back in Indiana, and how I'm going to positively spend this time.
Right.
I did. I joined, and it was such a life-changing event. And I used to always say, and I would say this to my little all the time, you are doing more for me than I'm probably going to ever be able to do for you.
Say that. I mean, again, that's the point.
Yeah.
You signed up to help a kid.
Yeah.
And that kid ended up helping you.
Absolutely.
So tell us more about that, brother. Tell us
the
more.
interaction, the what you learn by giving of yourself.
Yes.
And taking that time. But what you get back is I love seeing in anyone that I interact with when the lights come on. That moment that it really the epiphany that occurs. And this young man wasn't doing that well in school and had some other concerns, but rightfully and thankfully, his mother had brought him to Big Brothers Big Sisters and was looking for some help. And so through this engagement of spending time and getting to know him and getting to know his mother and getting to know his family and positively impacting his education, because he could see someone that looked like him in college. And where he lived and where he grew up, that wasn't your destiny. That was not your destination. And so through our interaction, I began to see and experience a whole different world. Because when you grow up in little Indiana, everything else is just CNN. It's just TV. Right? So you don't know the realities of life, nor can you fully appreciate when you're sheltered in a certain environment how someone else is living and what they're going through. And so what I thought was stress for me, I soon began to realize that there are people with a lot more day-to-day stress and a lot more struggles, many, many more struggles that are going on, and real struggles. And if I can take time to inspire and uplift and assist and help, come on. That's what we're here for.
Game on.
Yes.
Well, God bless you for what you've done as a big brother and now as an alumni big brother, still advocating for the cause of mentoring When you think about your relationship with your little brother, now what year were you matched? If you
In
think back,
2000, December of 2000.
wow.
Yeah.
And you were at USC, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken, at the
yes,
time
yes,
as well. And so when you think about those life lessons, are you still in touch with your little brother? I know sometimes.
Are you kidding me? Absolutely.
Let's talk about that relationship. So what's that conversation like now? What's he doing?
Oh, well, today, I'm really happy. I think even when you and I discussed, he had
Yes.
graduated with his undergraduate degree.
Beautiful. Where did he go to school?
USC, actually.
Wait. So how did he get that idea? So now this is now, for all of our listeners, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the social media channels, and for the entire Big Brothers Big Sisters network. Excuse me. Think about this. A young man at USC
Yeah.
gives back.
Yeah.
Your little brother graduated. Say that again for the benefit of the audience.
From USC.
What did he study?
Yes, business, actually.
Studied business.
Yes.
What did you study?
Yeah, business.
Okay.
Isn't that something?
So let's be more specific. I need some water, I guess. We'll see. But no, I'm getting so excited, man. I got to keep that,
Yeah, yeah.
A black man goes to USC, graduates, majors in business, mentors another young black man, this young man. Now he's a grown man
Yes.
with a degree from USC.
That's correct.
The
Wife and
intentionality
kids.
with a wife and kids.
Yes, he does.
Let's keep, brother,
Yes.
the floor is
With,
yours.
with kids who plan to go to college.
The,
Yeah, I mean, yes. So you talk about the trajectory. They call me Uncle Mark, and
Yes, they should.
I love that. And so when I get the cards, I got a card from him, and I love getting letters and cards. And I say, don't buy me anything. Just write me something. Just tell me how you're feeling. Because one day, when I'm 80 years old and I'm sitting in a rocking chair somewhere, I want to pull out a letter and just sit there and think. So I'd rather have that than a jacket, a pair of shoes, cologne. I'd rather have a letter. Because to me,
Priceless.
absolutely. And so he wrote this beautiful letter recently. It was about a little more than 9 months ago, just about how impactful that time was and the moments ever since, and how it changed his life because his idea of life and what his life could be was limited because of his circumstances.
right.
And so here comes someone, as he wrote in his letter, from this faraway place that was little Indiana, that showed him that you can do, you can be, and you can believe. I remember one time we were sitting there, and I told his mother how it worked in my home. So every day I was forced to sit at the table, and I did this with my kids. You're forced to sit at the table after school for 4 hours. You can choose to sit there
Yes.
and do nothing, but you're going to sit there
That's right.
for those 4 hours. And so you soon learn that you might as well bring a book, bring something, because you're still going to sit there. And I explained that to her, and she started implementing it. Well, he fought and fought and fought, just like my kids fought and fought and fought, but he got on track. And he talks about that, and he does that with his kids.
That's beautiful.
And they learn to love school and education. But I remember he looked at me one day, and he said, "Why do you believe so much? I can't do it. I just cannot do it." I'm like, "Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And we're going to keep stepping. Because right now you just see the mountain. But just keep looking down, keep looking at your feet, but keep stepping. Next thing you know, you're going to look up, and you're at the top of that mountain. So just walk with me. We can do it." And I remember when he got his report card, and he had that A in math that he thought he could never get. And I said, and I stopped and I put my hand on his chest and I said, "You see this feeling you got right there?" He was beaming. You could see like all 88 teeth. I used to joke with him. You got 64, but I used to tell him he's got 88. He had
88.
a big smile. And I said, "Cherish this feeling because you did it all the way through. This is all you."
Where are they living now?
They're in Wisconsin.
So again, so he grew up in California.
Grew up in California.
So
Yeah.
So now he's back. He knows it's cold in Wisconsin, right?
Yes. He got relocated
How
with his
about
company.
that? That's
a
beautiful.
shipping and receiving company. He's doing a distribution company. I apologize.
That's
And
beautiful.
They relocated him there.
Has he ever visited South Florida?
He has. He's been
So
down.
you know what I'm about to say next. You
Yeah.
know me for
I
long
know
enough.
I can
so
tell.
we will get a second chair,
Yes. I
and
love
he can
that.
tell his story firsthand, first person,
Yeah.
and talk about if it were not for a big,
Yeah.
what his life would be like. Mark, I just can't say enough. I mean, see, that's the 360. That's the full circle impact of mentoring.
Absolutely.
Mentoring is not nice; it's necessary.
Absolutely.
So as we think about just what he's doing now and what you've meant to his life and what he's meant to you, what life lessons has he taught you? I mean, obviously, he's now got his degree, working, family, husband, father. I mean, exactly what it's all about, from mentorship to, of course, the academic scholarship, but not only that, but just the citizenship.
Yes.
But now, what lessons did he teach you, my friend?
He taught me that it's important to get in.
Yeah.
And so there are going to be, again, I was sitting there in my dorm room trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I could have gotten a job, right? I mean, and went shopping. So I could have done retail therapy, right? And then said, I don't have the time to get involved. Right? I could have chosen to do something else. And there are lots of wonderful charities out there, but I can't think of any better organization than Big Brothers Big Sisters because of what I got back. And what I got back was a real world sense and feeling of someone else, and how together you can help someone else achieve so much more. Because again, I go back to my world, my little nucleus and what I understood of it. And when you grow up that way, you're so focused just on yourself. And I'm thankful that my family and grandparents forced the idea, the notion of charity and giving, and it was preached every Sunday, so much so that I go back to a thought that I brought a homeless person home. The family freaked out. They're like, what are you doing? I'm like,
this is what you taught me.
That's exactly what we're supposed to do. He's hungry. We've got food.
Amen.
Let's take care of him.
That's it.
But he gave back to me and continues to give back to me this belief that you can. But just as I talked to him about climbing that mountain, it begins with that step. That young lady came to me and said, you need to get involved, right? And I got involved, and I went to that meeting. But then when I got there, the first thought I thought, how do I really engage? Am I really going to add any value? Am I really going to make a difference, et cetera, right? And I'm sure there's even lots of people that are probably even thinking today, I've got my own kids. I've got my own thing.
Talk to them. You're a recruiter for a day now.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you're a Big Brothers, Big Sisters, non-paid recruiter for the day, brother.
Right.
Talk to those who are still sitting on the sidelines, Mark, because you got in.
Yes.
As your little brother taught you. What's your little brother's first name?
Both feet, Marcus.
Marcus. So Marcus taught you to get in.
Yes.
That young lady, what was her name?
Karen.
I'm glad Karen said, hey, get involved.
We're closer than close today.
That's excellent. So I want you to bring Karen and Marcus. I don't know if Karen can come to South Florida if she's in South Florida.
She would love to be in Canada.
So there you go. So we'll just get Karen to South Florida. And we just have a reunion. Because her nudge of you led to you getting involved with Marcus.
Yes.
And now Marcus is paying us all back with his
Yes.
productive citizenship. So now back to you being recruiter for the day.
Sure.
What's your message to those sitting on the quote-unquote sidelines using excuses such as I don't have enough time or I got a family of my own.
Yes.
I work a lot.
Oh, yes.
Now,
yes.
I think you work a lot.
Yes.
You have family.
Yes.
You got in, and so mentoring didn't harm you in any way.
No.
So, brother, what's your message for all those, especially men?
Yes.
I say this all the time when I have brothers on the show.
Yeah.
Women volunteer at a rate of 3 to 1 compared to men. That's a fact, nationally and certainly locally. We need caring adults, men and women, from all backgrounds. But the bottom line is, what's your message?
Yes, Marcus, I think I'm going to steal what Marcus said to me because he does this today, right? And he said that I can sit on the sidelines and I can say, I'm busy. I've got my own family, I've got my own kid. But he said, but when I think about how I felt growing up and what I needed, it got me off the couch to say, I can take one more. And if we each just took one more, how much better our community would be. But when I think of Marcus and his kids, I think generational. The impact wasn't just to him, but it's his kids now, and it'll be his kids' kids. So getting involved now, getting off the couch, making the donation, getting involved, grabbing yourself a little, especially as a black man. I really want to speak about that piece because in organizations, as black families, there aren't very many that have business backgrounds, right? Or, I would call the PhDs in education or the experiences.
Right.
And so many of our young black men need mentors like you or I to help them understand how to engage and interact
Yes.
with so many different influences that are coming at them in life today. And so my brothers out there, I love my sisters, don't get me wrong, because they help out tremendously.
No doubt about it.
But my brothers out there, I really need you to get involved. And I want you to think back to a time where you needed someone. And wouldn't you like to be that someone to someone else? And so if you got 3 kids, I understand, but you can take one more.
One more.
Right? And if you certainly got no kids, you absolutely could take one. But if you really feel like you're just, you just can't, then please, by all means, make some type of donation to an organization so that they have the ability to help someone else. And so, I'm going to call on you to step up one way or the other. But what you get back, the change that happens inside of you, and I still say, what he gave to me was way more than I will ever feel that I gave to him. Now, of course, he feels the opposite. But I thank God daily for him. Because at a time in life where we can choose, and I'm not going to try to say anything negative about someone, but we can choose to be a bit selfish. And,
right.
and sometimes, society tells you should be. Mm-hmm. By stepping out of that and giving of yourself and giving of your time or giving of your money, especially to an organization like this, the impact is truly generational. And that's what I want everyone to really understand. You are impacting and changing lives by getting involved.
One more.
Sure.
When the impossible becomes possible, when the things you can't see become tangible and real, when a little kid from inner city Southern California, right?
Yes.
Gets all of a sudden is walking across the stage as a proud USC Trojan and is now taking care of his family.
Yes.
The game of life. Not only did you both get in, did you suit up?
Yes.
You made the team, but the key is how you played it.
Yes.
You stayed connected.
Yes.
Match retention, keeping that friendship together leads to quantifiable, measurable, qualitative and quantitative results.
Absolutely.
Mark, I cannot thank you enough, brother, for taking the time out today to be on the Game of Life. But not only that, but your role as an alumni big, you are just as passionate about as you were when you first got started back in 2000. 19 years later, you haven't aged a bit, brother. Mentoring looks good on you.
Brother, talking about this, I started getting like a little teary-eyed. I had to stop for a second.
You had me too, brother.
It really is impactful. But thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share my story, to share Marcus's story, to talk about even Karen. And so I'm sure she's going to listen to this because I'm going to text her.
No, we're going to definitely make sure she gets a copy.
Absolutely.
So to Lenny, to Jim, to Karen, to Marcus, all the people that, and certainly your grandparents and your parents that helped Mark Kent be who he is, alumni big brother, the gift that keeps on giving, because it's a hard knock life.
Yes, it is,
And
brother.
these kids need a mentor. That's the Game of Life for today, Season 2, Episode number 8. Let's go. Hey, this is Gail Nelson, President and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters Miami, the host of the Game of Life.